Okay, I think we are ready. Welcome everyone to this live stream today. Today evening in Germany, it's evening 8 p.m. In other parts of the world, it might be good morning, it might be good afternoon in certain time zones in the US. Thank you very much for joining us today. We have a very interesting topic for you today. We are going to talk about how to create an invoice directly inside of Jira with live real-time data from Jira. So we're going to extract data points from Jira, put it inside an invoice, and you will not have to do any manual work with copying and pasting work logs and all of that stuff. And we're going to show you exactly how that works today. Let me introduce myself really quickly. If you don't know me, my name is Andreas Springer. I am Product Marketing Manager for the Actonic apps at Cybert. And one of the Actonic apps is what we are going to talk about today, and we're going to use that as a solution for this use case, and that will be a report builder. And of course, I'm not alone today. I have two colleagues with me. Let's also meet them. Hello, everyone. We have, first of all, Rustem, who is our product owner for Report Builder at Actonic. Hi, Rustem. How are you doing?
Hello, everyone. I'm great. Hope you are doing as well. How are you?
I'm doing good as well. We have a long Easter weekend coming up, so could not be better. And we also have Andrei with us. He is the man for the technical details, the head of development for Report Builder and also the other apps, and technical coordinator. Hi, Andrei.
Hello, everyone.
Are you also looking forward to Easter?
Yes.
Very good, very good. But before we can get some eggs in our Easter baskets, we will get some invoices into Jira. And just before we start, a little bit of housekeeping. So I guess you know how it works. We have a chat here on YouTube Live, obviously. And I would like to encourage you to use it. Please ask your questions at any time. We also have another colleague in the background who can look a little bit at the chat. I will also do it. So hi, Patricia. And we can answer questions that you might have in the chat directly, or we can also talk about it here in the stream, of course, depending on what it is about. So just feel free to chat at any time, and we will monitor it and then see what we can do. One more thing before we start, we've prepared a little bit of a survey and a Google form for you guys. All of these questions are optional. We would highly appreciate it if you would take a minute to look at it and see what you would like to answer, because of course we would like to get to know you, who is watching this, for what people is this topic interesting. So that would be great. And also you can leave your email address there if you would like to receive some additional information and materials afterwards. We will send you some links to the sandbox that we have, where you can play around with everything that we are showing today. We can send you a written tutorial so you can look at that again in written form. And all that good stuff. So please use that feedback form. Highly appreciated. Thank you very much in advance. But that's it from my side for now. I think let's go. I will come back at the end and do a little bit of a wrap up. But for now, I would like to give the word to Rustem. Rustem, the stage is yours.
Thank you very much, Andreas. Thank you for the introduction. Hello everyone once again. I'm Rustem and I'm a product owner here at Actonic. Just a few words before we start. As Andreas told already, we are going to cook our invoices using Report Builder application. And there is nothing strange with it, because invoice, after all, follows all the good practices of a good report, getting the data, processing it, preparing it, publishing it. So that is why we will use that Actonic product to prepare our invoices. And few words about how we actually did come to that idea of creating the custom invoices. We had a lot of requests from our customers for quite some time that they've been struggling with creating the invoices in Jira, not just regular invoices, but something really branded, something tailored for their business with their logos, with a specific table, specific outcomes, formats, etc., etc., etc. So we used that. We used our product basically to help them, and we did also help ourselves, because we are using our report builder to create invoices for our customers as well. That was a short introduction. I will now share my screen so that you will first of all see the application. How does it look like really a short tour, and then I'll show you the invoice we're actually going to cook. So I'm sharing my screen. Wait for it. And let me know when you will see it.
Yes,
Is it there yet?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Right. So yeah, now you're just looking at the homepage of Report Builder. You will able to learn it yourself a little bit later. So I'm just going to show you that as for reporting, that application has very powerful capabilities with a number of templates to create reports, with capabilities to create what we call scripted report, and that capability we will use today to cook our invoices, with some HTML and JavaScript, but Andre will tackle that part a little bit later. Very, very powerful tool. But now about invoices themselves. So imagine you have an invoice to prepare, something like that. I'll zoom it in right now. So something with your logo or whatever pictures there could be and placed whenever. Some simple numeric data, the name of your company or your customer, the addresses, dates, and the necessary quantity data concerning what you are charging people for, with subtotals, totals, whatever. So something, well, here we're showing you something very simple, but of course your invoices could look different and have another layout, more graphics, whatever. So how to achieve that sort of invoice using your Jira data. Your typical way of doing that with plain Jira, without any data aggregation or pivoting applications, starts with exporting the data, or either with using some filters, or with just doing the plain exports. For instance, let me add here time spent, and yeah, I see now that I have at least 2 tickets with some time. Yeah, I could export them to CSV, for instance, for Excel, or macOS numbers to watch, to aggregate. Here it will open. Yeah, so that I could then use that data to fill in my invoices with, for instance, time my employees spent to charge for customer. Yeah, so I could do some pivoting in external tools and then copy paste the necessary data to my invoice. Of course, that's that takes quite some time. That doesn't really handful, I would say. So yeah. And the general process looks like you need to take the data in Jira, prepare a Jira report, export the data, then do some pivoting in that third-party tool, whether it will be Excel or whatever, and then you could copy-paste the data into your invoice. There are, of course, solutions helping you to aggregate the data. There are solutions allowing you to create very simple invoices from your Jira data, but without a lot of customization. At Tectonic, we tried to light the burden of the process in terms of Jira report and data pivoting and exporting. So, for instance, we have a thing called Universal Report, which allows you to do the data aggregation itself, and I will also show you it at the moment, in a moment. So, for instance, imagine you have some project with a lot of tasks, work with certain people. You need to create invoices out of it. So I will start the report builder now on that test instance. Okay, create the report. I need my work logs to be there. Let me select that project. Right, and for instance, like whatever data in the past, let's select the May of the previous year. Let's check if there are any work logs. Yeah, there are like some hours logged. Let's check who are the author of the work logs. Right, we see someone has actually prepared the work logs. So that tool, the Universal Report, allows you to create some simple pivoting in it and do the export of the data, for instance, to Microsoft Excel. Just let me open it again. Yeah, so that the data, the already prepared and pivoted, will be ready for, copy pasting it to invoices. We are now improving that tool, and soon we will release a new version of that tool with even more capabilities to do the pivoting to, for instance, I don't know, it's here, to do a lot of pivoting in whatever way you would like, with a lot of capabilities to format the data, etc., etc. So it will allow you to shorten your process. Yeah, so you won't need to do the pivoting anymore in Excel or whatever. You will just able to prepare it with our Universal Report and then export. Still, there are some manual work you need to do, and to get rid of it, we will present you today scripted reports. So the one report you need to code using the very basics of HTML and JavaScript, and then you could use it once and for all your invoices. You could share it with people preparing invoices, with your, for instance, accounting team, whoever, so that they could use it, extract it, share it, etc., etc. Yeah, so I think that's more or less it from my end for today. I will move now to the chat to support you with any questions you might have. And yeah, thank you. Andrei, the word is to you.
Thank you. By the way, the workflow which you show us with Issue Navigator, with exporting issues to CSV, actually is pretty technical. The most of the time, as we know, the user just look at the ticket and calculate somehow some of the work logs, and only then prepare Word template, Excel template, or something like this. And there are a lot of possibilities to make a mistake with the calculation, to miss some data, and so on. Give me a second. Yeah. But today we will show you how you can automate it completely, where there will be no place to make a mistake. Hello, everyone. My name is Andrew. Here in Actonic, I'm a technical coordinator, project manager, and person who is responsible for various topics. And unfortunately for me, I'm not developing every day, which is very good for all of you participants, because I will show you how you can build your own invoice with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, very detailed, step by step, with explanation of every detail, why it works like this, how you can use it, where to find some code snippets, and so on. Let me start, because we're here. We see our app in action. Please give me some signs that you can see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Great, thank you. As Rustam already showed you, this is the very first stop before you will be able to start using our app. You need to find it on the marketplace. It's available for Jira Cloud, Data Center, software, service management, work management, so for all kinds of Jiras and all kinds of installations. Also, here you will be able to find the documentation. Documentation assists a lot especially in the process of scripted reports creation, like invoices or any other custom visualizations. I will also use it a lot during this session, this demo. I will show you where you can find some useful examples, which you can just copy-paste in your report and make it works pretty quick and make it beautiful pretty easily. When the app installed, it become available here in app section, and you can find this very first page, which explains how to start using app, where to find additional details, read documentation, watch videos, and ask us for any kind of support. After that, you will be able to create your new report. I already have a few, and I would like to show you what we are going to build today. Rustam already showed you this beautiful invoice, which could be the most typical one. Prepared in Word, consists of some images, static text, the places where dynamic data should be set, which will be different every time. And that's why that's the report which we are going to implement today. How it could look like in Jira. Here the example. I've already prepared one, but we will make the same with you together. If you look at this report, you can find out that it has the left panel with a few input parameters. Input parameters, it's something that could be changed from calculation to calculation. That's something that should be configurable. In our case, we would like to export all the log time from one ticket to this beautiful template. And we have one more configurable parameter, it's our hourly rate. Actually, it's this unit price. So it's something that also could be changed over time, and we would like to have it configurable. Let's imagine that one day we become super professionals and better than currently, and we'll have the better hourly rate. So then we can just configure this input parameter, and everything will be recalculated. Of course, if you have another issue which you would like to use for invoice to get the data from, you can use it. The main great feature of our engine that it uses real data from Jira. It gets the exact data which currently you have in Jira and somehow aggregate it and show it. Hope it looks good. Of course, it could be exported to various formats like PDF, and with all the images, colors, fonts, sizes, and then it could be sent it to your customer. Now let's find out how to make this report from the scratch. Where we should start, it's the creation of the new scripted report. Rustam already showed you this very nice page where you can find multiple templates for the reports, but all of them provides you the final solution, ready-to-go solution, which you can just click and start using. But what we are going to do, it's a bit different because we are going to create our new scripted report. Our app consists of these two parts: ready-to-go reports, which require no knowledge of HTML, JavaScript, or coding at all, and scripted report part. It's our engine, our framework for creating the reports. It's made by using of combination of very popular libraries together, and it allows you to start building visualization and do not think about how to get data from Jira or how to communicate with issues and so on and so forth. Everything encapsulated in our framework and in our API, which I will show you. First of all, when we start creating new report, you see this general tab. It's a place where you can create input fields. So something that you will see in the future in the left panel, and which could be configurable. Then we have permissions, which I skip for now. We will return to it back later. Template and script. This is the most important places which you will use a lot, because here you will create your report, your visualization. And HTML, CSS, all the layouts and styles will be configured here in the template. Business logic, aggregation, validation, some error checks will be implemented here in script. What you should implement first, template or script, it's always a tricky question. It's like with egg and chicken. I think you should start it together in both of them. So piece of script, check the data, extend your template. I will show you now the very first example, very simple example, which is not about our invoice, just to give you idea how it works and what you can achieve with it. So every time when your script is calculated, this method isRender should be very last one. It's responsible to show you for showing the report for the end users. Here in preview section, you will see the final version of the report. What we can configure and how it could look like. Let's imagine that we calculated some data with our JavaScript in script tab, and we would like to show it in the template. Let's imagine that we have something like object consists of multiple fields, like summary, some summary, too many M's. Yeah. We have some variable with name date, which always show you the current date. And we would like to show it in the template. What we need to do is only put this variables object here in render method. And then in template, we can get these variables and show them to users. How to do it? We need to use this nice syntaxes, which allows you to display variables directly in template. Actually, this syntaxes is not invented by us. It's pretty popular syntax, which called handlebars. Handlebars is a framework which allows you to put some dynamic variables inside HTML templates. Only thing you need to do is to wrap your variable with these curved brackets. They looks like handlebars. That's why the framework is called like this. So let's imagine that we have a title where we would like to put our summary variable. And here something like time where we would like to print our date variable. Let's remove everything else and just run our report by clicking this refresh button. What we can see, title, some summary, time, and long string with the current date and time, even with time zone. Okay, so what we achieved, we created a variables mapping, put it to our rendering function, and in template, we used our variables to show them here in the preview. I think it's already looks amazing, but not what we wanted to achieve, right? And what we want to achieve actually consists of a few steps. When we're talking about report creation, we always must follow a few steps. We're always doing them. And there are no ways, somehow to skip them. So every report has some input parameters. So very first step, we need to define input parameters. It's something that could be different from one calculation to another calculation. Scope of issues, scope of dates, selected project, selected user, whatever. So something that will be used for the report calculation. Next, we need to get data. So we need to get data from Jira, like issues, work logs, comments, attachments, whatever. Then we need to aggregate data. So somehow find what we want to show, how it should be combined together. And very last step, we need to visualize data. So as a table or as a pie chart, bar chart, any other crazy visualization. Invoice. Invoice is also part of, it could be a kind of the report, and we will visualize our data in the form of the template for invoice. Let's start step by step. So very first step, input parameters. For the invoice, we can define a few input parameters. But first of all, we need to define the source. So where we'll take the data for our invoice. For our case, we would like to use as source some issue. So we need to add issue picker to our report that every user will be able to choose the issue to show it in the form of our invoice template. To do it, we need to go here to General and choose New Field. As we already discussed, it should be issue picker. So let's create issue picker. And we need to set field name and title. So how user will see our field in the left panel. We can choose single picker or multiple picker. For our case, single picker will be enough because it's just for demo purposes. Have a look. We already have this issue picker added here in the left panel. So now we can start choosing tickets here. So I've selected some issue to this issue picker. Now the question, how to get this issue? To do it, how to get this selected issue from issue fields. To do it, we will go to documentation, and I absolutely recommend use this code snippets section, which explains some basics, something that you will use a lot. For example, how to get value from issue picker. Let me put it here. This one row allows you to access this data selected by user. What we can see here, that we accessing our SR object. It's part of our API. It's allow you to communicate with UI, with Jira, with third-party services. And this method allows you to get value of this field. Let's say this will be our issue key, which we will get. How we can prove that we have something in this field? Easiest way is to use console log. It's a very popular way to check what you have in your variables. Not the best one, but the most popular, definitely. What you can do with it, you can actually print the value of the variable to the console of your browser. So here's a place we can see that issue key selected currently in this issue picker is mobile 40. It's exactly the issue which currently selected. Okay, so we know how to choose the issue, but the question, how now to get the content of the issue? Because we would like to know more about this issue. First of all, we would like to get this log time. So all log time for this issue. To do it, again, let's go to documentation and check. Get issues section. This is a place which explains how you can request issues directly from Jira. This one method allows you to get all the issues which match this JQL. JQL is Jira query language. I hope you're familiar with it already. So it's a special language which allows you to access one or multiple issues based on project, label, creation date, or any other field. For our case, we don't need the whole project. We need one particular selected issue, and we can easily access it through this function. We say, get me all the issues by JQL, where JQL consists of key equal issue key. So take this issue key from input parameters and get the issue with all its fields. Let's again use our console log to check what we have. Have a look. It's printed again, issue key print again, and then issues object. It's an array because the JQL could return you back multiple issues, but our one always will return one issue only, exact issue, not less, not more. And here we can find our issue object with all its fields. summary, description, creation, spend time, and so on and so far. All the fields are available here, and it's real data. So it means that when we call it, it gets exact data from Jira itself. And if you will open it again next day, it will get only actual fields only. So we know how to select one particular issue, how to receive fields from it. What next? Actually, it was a step for getting data. We need somehow aggregate data. And to do it, we will use the same variables object. And now we will prepare all the variables which we need to create our invoice. As you can imagine, we need at least summary, we need current date, and we need total time spent from this issue. So summary. For the summary, it's pretty easy. We need to get this array of issues, take very first element. As we saw, it's element with index 0, always like this, because only one available in the array. Then fields, and somewhere here should be summary. Yeah, summary. So now when we update our report, we should see the title exactly like in our issue, this summary. And if we, for example, update our issue somehow, manage services, merge, and refresh our report, it will be updated immediately because it uses the real data just in time of when you see the report. So, okay, summary is here. What else? We would like to also print to our report total spend time. To do it, we need to have a look at this nice variable time spent. This is a variable inside this field inside Jira, which is responsible for sum of log time per one issue. Let's call it exactly. This is exactly the same name. And somehow in the template, let's show it also. Template, let's put something like H3, whatever. Total spend time. And again, curved brackets for variable. Let's have a look. You see total spend time, 57,600. What is it? Actually, it's a seconds. By default, Jira always store all the durations, like total spend time or anything else, in seconds. Of course, it does looks well, and for the most of the purposes, you need to convert it to hours. To do it, the easiest way is to divide it to 3,600, and then you will get number of hours. So total spend time will be 16 hours. Again, looks like we almost achieved our goal, so we can get exact issue, extract all the fields, somehow aggregate data which we need for invoice, but template. We can continue modifying template here, and I'm pretty sure Andreas likes it very much. HTML, CSS, styles, layouts. I'm not a fan of CSS, so I don't like it at all. And to simplify the process, I prefer to use some kind of WYSIWYG editors. There are a lot of them available in the internet, which allows you to edit your layout, the invoice, and then get the HTML of it. So what I'm going to do is to prepare my invoice here and then copy paste it in my template. Let's have a look. Looks much better, but it still uses static data. So it's not connected to our variables. And to be able to use the variables which we get from issue, we need somehow to tell template how to use them. And you already knows how to do it. You need to put variable names in curved brackets. Let's say here we would like to print our invoice number. There all the rest will be static. All the rest could be various, depends on your company, your purposes. And I just want to show you an example. I will not touch them and leave it as this placeholder. What also should be changed? Definitely this date, 0. And this row with the quantity, description, unit price, and total. So quantity will be our time spent. Here in description, we would like to see our summary of the issue. In unit price, we would like to see our rate, so something that will be called rate. And here in total, we will print some total. We don't have it yet, and we need to prepare it somewhere in our script. I just want to have a look that everything which should be dynamic and calculated defined here with variables. Yes. Now just copy HTML of this nice layout, put it to our template. Let's try to render it. What we can see, invoice number disappeared. Why? Because we don't have it in variables yet. Date looks amazingly long and could be improved. But quantity, description, directly from the issue. So 16 hours, this is a summary of the issue. Unit price and total are not there yet, and we need to fix it. Let's start from invoice. So to add the invoice, we just need to add this variable here. We have variable num. You can have a special algorithm to generate your invoice. It could be a current date, current time, or whatever. It could be even the input parameter here in the left panel. It depends on your needs. Let's say I will just use something, so some number here. Next, we will improve and beautify our invoice later. Let's now fix the major missed parts. Unit price. Unit price is our rate. It should be, it could be a static variable directly here in the script, or better to put it here to input parameters. Why? Because it could be changed. So every time you should think, could it be changed in 1 month or in a few months? Is the answer yes? Better to create the input parameter and make it configurable, because you don't like to edit your script every week or every month or every rate changes. To edit, we just need to add new field. Let's call it rate, and title for users, hourly rate, and it's added here. If I don't like the order of the fields, I can change it at any time, but I think issue and then hourly rate looks good. Then we need to get this value, and we already know how to do it. Can just copy paste everything, delete this redundant log messages, and put rate somewhere here. Let's refresh our report, just check ourselves. Number is here, and rate is not here. Because it's empty. Let's put something here. Check one more time. Now it's appear. So very last step, we need to calculate total. Let's create new variable here, total. What is total? Total should be a production of our time spent and rate. You can have it like this, or make a function which calculates your total. You have multiple ways to implement it. For our demo purposes, it's fine to have it like this, but of course, for the real report, production ready report, I prefer to make a function to add some validation and so on. And it will looks a bit more beautiful. But for us, it's more than enough, because we can just confirm that it works well, to check it, that we have 16 logged hours to tick it with summary managed services merge. We have our rate defined here in input parameters, and we have total calculated here. Looks almost done, but we want to beautify a few things. First of all, fix this date. It's too ugly, too long, don't like it. Where we have it here in the new date. Depends on your needs. You can define the format of the date and convert it to date, day, month, year, or month, day, year format you prefer. For our needs, it would be enough. It should be enough just to make it shorten and to print it as a date without time zone, exact time, and so on. To date string, maybe like this. I don't remember exact method name, but we can easily check it. Yeah, this correct one. So this is a standard JavaScript methods to convert long date to a shortened form. You can use your preferred one and get this date in any other format you like. What else could be changed? As always, it's a good idea to test it and to test it with various different formats. For example, let's say I would like to add not only days to our work log, but I want to add just 5 minutes for something like discussions. And you see now I have 2 days and 5 minutes in total time logged to this issue. Let's have a look at our invoice now. And what you can see, these very nice numbers after dot, after period. Why? Because now it's divide our seconds to make an hours, but this number should be rounded. So quantity and total should be rounded. The easiest way to round the value is to make the function which will extract this data and round it. How you can do it? Multiple ways, but you can always ask Stack Overflow and find some example here. So this one explains how to round your number to 2 decimals. Let's just use it. What it's doing, it's get our long number and set only 2 numbers after decimal. And we need to repeat the same for our total. Let's have a look. I hope much better. So now quantity has only 2 decimals and the same for totals, only 2 decimals. If your invoice will be more difficult to calculate, of course, you can split your code and make it with functions, with various validation for input parameters, and so on. For our purposes, it should be enough just to show you how you can connect your script, your template, make it beautiful pretty easily, and use the real data from Jira issues. But it's not finished yet. What we need to do to save it, always don't forget to save your report. Invoice, just invoice. When it's saved, it becomes available in the view mode. So it will show you how it looks like for end users, how they see it, but it still will not be available for anyone in your team. It will not be available for your management. And if I now will send the link to Rustem or Andreas, they will not see it because by default, all the reports created privately and visible only for you. To fix it, you need to just update permissions. You can do it in multiple ways. So you can do it here from the dashboard, or I show you this permission step in the very beginning, and you can modify who will be able to view it, who will be able to edit it, who will be able to change the script and template if you don't want to do it anymore. So to make it available for everyone in your cloud instance, you can just make it public. So when I do it, now everyone will be able to see this report in shared. So I can now send the link to this report to Rustam, and he will also be able to use it. If I need to change something, I always can keep on editing it, modify script, improve template, add more fancy styles or whatever, depends on the requirements from management. And it's mainly it. What do you think, guys? Any questions? Any suggestions?
Maybe we can. Yeah, sorry, Rustam?
Oh, yeah, I was just thinking about the invoice number. I'm looking at that number 1, and I do really want to have a capability to change it as a user.
Yeah, good idea. Why not? We can, as I said, we can have the special algorithm of calculation, this number, auto-generated one. Or in the most of the cases, it makes sense to put it here in input parameters. So make it available for end users to modify it, because maybe you have some different patterns for different customers. Actually, we can do it. I think it's just 1 minute. Invoice number. Oh, just num. We have it already. So we can change order like this. I think invoice number will be changed more often than rate. So the fields which you access the most of the time should be on the top of the list. It's much more user-friendly. And here we can find, can put something like this. And we need to modify our script a bit. So we need to access this variable, create a new variable, and then just print it in our template. That's it. So here the invoice number, and here how it will looks like in the template.
That's cool. That's cool. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So input parameters don't always have to be calculated, processed, or whatever. You can just take what the user inputs and just display it, right?
Depends on the needs, yeah.
Yeah, so this is basically infinitely adjustable. I really like that aspect of it. It's a little bit hard to grasp what you could do with it, because basically anything is possible depending on the concept and the requirements. But the flexibility is really, really great.
Exactly. What I want to show also, I think if there are no more questions about the invoice itself, where to get more examples, how to find out how to make the beautiful and more complicated reports. Actually, our gallery, except universal report, consists only on the reports which you can completely modify. Let's say we have closed with versus reopened report. You can find multiple input parameters here, much more than we had in our invoice. I'm not sure about this report. Do I have enough data for this? Let's have a look. Yeah, I don't think so. So not enough data, because it's count closed and reopened issues. It's pretty useful for service management teams. But what I want to show you, the more important that every report in our gallery, you can save it to your own one and then modify it completely, everything, input parameters, template, all the styles, fonts, whatever like, script, how it's calculated, why it's calculated like this. A lot of useful examples you can find here, because you can imagine that this chart, this table, a bit more complicated than the invoice we've created. But here, the place where you can find examples, good examples, how you can make your own unique and pretty complicated report.
So if the example with the invoice was too simple for you and you need more code in your life, just go to the gallery and look at the other reports. The interface is completely the same. You have the same editor, the template, the scripts and everything, and you can just see what you can use from there. So it's basically it's open source.
If you think that this code is also too much for you, we have a special offer. We're providing a service which allows to make your own report any unique. You just need to ask us through our support team, and we will assist you to achieve it.
Yes, if it's an invoice or something completely different, let us know and we will see what we can do here. Because as I said, the possibilities are really endless. And I don't think we have even ourselves like reached the maximum or the the extent of what you can do. So challenge us. Would be a great challenge. Okay,
Definitely.
so we don't actually have any questions in the chat. I'm a little bit disappointed, but you know, it's Easter, so I'm gonna let it slide for this time. But we have a few minutes left. I think we can touch on a few more aspects. So for example, can you talk a little bit more about the sharing options, Andre?
Yeah, should I continue, or Rustam, would you like to tell more about the sharing possibilities?
I could actually continue. I could continue, no worries. Let me reshare my screen again then. Okay. Okay, do you see my screen now?
Yes, it's here.
Yes.
Right, cool. So yeah, there are multiple capabilities to share the reports you actually have, including the invoices, of course. So imagine you have that many reports already configured. So as Andre told, you may share the access for these reports using a report permissions tab, and whoever is mentioned in that report's permission will have an access for a report inside the application. You may also generate a direct shareable link for people to access the report in a view-only mode. You may, of course, access the reports by adding them to dashboard gadgets. But with invoices, what you typically need, I believe, is to do the export of the data to PDFs or wherever. And let me just open any report. I don't know. That will be this one. Oh, sorry, didn't really went good. Let me open this one. Okay. So to export the data, you basically have a capability to do printing, and that will enable a report to be printed either to printer or to your virtual printer, for instance, to export it as a PDF or something like that. And most of the reports you could export also to PDF as an image, or you could export data to CSV or export it to XLS, whatever is preferable for you. There are also, as I said, a capability to add other things to the gadgets. Moreover, you could also embed a report into Confluence using iframes. And the report will be added into Confluence, including all the, let me just, probably I could create a new report here, for instance. Yeah. So the report will be added, including all these configurable fields. So that beautiful report Andre has created could be added to your Confluence page, including the controls for end user. And end user will able to change the things right there in the Confluence and will able to see the results. It is really important to remember that the reports, they actually consider the user context. So for instance, if the user you have shared a report does not have an access for a specific project, a specific issues or whatever, they will never be able to see these projects, issues, etc. in their reports. So all the data is totally secured. Yeah, I think that's more or less it. As I said, the reports you could print, export to PDF, and depending on the report, you may also have a capability to export the entire report into JSON. And this JSON you could later use to create the copy of the same report in another instance. We have that capability to import the report from JSON. So it will now create absolutely the same report by just importing it from JSON. Yeah, right. Now I think that's it.
Okay, so multiple ways to export and share reports. Of course, if you create a PDF or you print it in physical form, it will become a static one, so nothing will change ever again. But of course, the real strength of Report Builder is this ability to get the data at any time, updated data from Jira, and stay up to date by itself, basically, and be dynamic. And just for clarification, what that means is if something changes in one of the issues that you are pulling into the report and you're refreshing the report, it will reflect the changed information, basically. Very good. Okay. So what else? I mean, for those people who are of the type that I mentioned before, who cannot get enough code in their life, so like the hardcore developers, maybe they would like to extend the possibilities even more. So there's potentially the option of using additional JavaScript libraries, or also for CSS there is things like SCSS and SASS. I'm not too familiar with it. I usually use the standard formats, but maybe you can touch on if something like that is also possible.
Yes, definitely. You can extend your report in multiple ways. Any external library which available with CDN could be added to your scripted report, and you can use it. We are using a lot charting libraries in our reports. Some of them already built in, and you don't need to bring them and somehow add them externally, like chart.js. Chart.js available out of the box. And you saw the example, which is not downloading or using external library. It's using built-in chart.js library. But if you prefer any other library, it could be included to your script. The same for CSS. Any external styling library could be also included.
Okay, very nice. And what if I don't necessarily would like to use the, inbuilt editor, because for some reason, I don't know what reason that could be, but it somehow doesn't suit me. Do I have another possibility here?
I have to show it, definitely. Because the case which you're describing could be very popular for developers who would like to build something complicated and say like, hey, this editor is not enough. I need to split my file to multiple pieces. I would like to have my static checks from IDE, my lovely plugins from VS Code or whatever. For these cases, we providing the ability to use script and template from your local environment. Here the guide which explains how to do it. Everything you need is just to clone this public repository to your local environment, connect it here via this playground URL, and it's done. It's not require any plugin. You don't need any plugin. Any IDE could use it. It will run the local server, which be in connect with report builder, and send script a template here in real time. So it means that you can continue building your report locally, but it will stay in report builder, and it will use the real data from report builder. Do you prefer JetBrains IDE or VS Code IDE? whatever. You can use all of them. And it gives you a possibility to edit it in your preferable way. Of course, I understand that this script and template, it's for something simple, something easy to edit. For everything more complicated, this is the best way to develop your script locally.
So you mentioned that you could also split the files. So right now in the template tab, we have HTML and CSS, for example, combined into one, right? But if I use a separate editor, I could have HTML and CSS files separate.
Separately, you can even have multiple script files, which will be automatically joined into one by our special script, building script.
Nice. Okay. Very cool. Thank you very much. And I guess that would also then allow to have a version control, right? Which it's not really possible, I think, with the inbuilt editor.
With the build editor, you have to clone your report if you would like to have multiple versions. But if you will enable this local development server, you can store your sources in your own repository with version control, with commits, change history, and so on.
Very cool. Very cool. Okay. Great. So I think that should be it for today. Unless you guys want to mention something else that we haven't mentioned until now. Something that comes to mind?
No, I don't think so. We covered pretty much everything.
Okay, very good. So, so that's it basically for today. Let me remind you again of the form that we have for you to give feedback. If you're watching the recording of this live stream sometime later, the link will always be available still. Well, not always. At some point we will probably shut it down, but in the near future you can still use it. Please do so. We would be very interested to hear from you. And of course, there are also other ways to contact us. Do that at any time. We would love to talk to you and hear about your ideas to create scripted reports and what kind of creative things we can do with it. Another thing I want to point out is that on April 16th, we will have another event around the same topic, but this time with one of our partners, Yudokus. And you know, if you watch today or you watch the recording and you played around with it a little bit and you have some more questions, feel free to join us on April 16th. If you want to get reminded of this event, please also use the Google form to leave your email address, and then we can send you an invitation when we have the actual link for attendees. And on the topic of playing around with it, we have a sandbox, as I mentioned in the beginning, where you can just log in. You don't have to install anything, and you can look at the invoice that we have built today and, you know, fiddle with the code a little bit and see what changes and stuff like that. I will share the link also in the chat right now. It's very simple. It's just tectonic.de/sandbox. Feel free to do that. And yeah, I think that's it for today. Thank you very much, Rustem. Thank you very much, Andrei, for the very detailed explanation and for your time. Always a pleasure. And yeah, I guess enjoy Easter and have a good weekend, everyone.
Thank you, Andreas. Thank you, Andrei.
Thank you,
Nice
everyone.
Easter, everyone.
See you
Bye-bye.
soon. Bye-bye.
Ciao.